It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need, visit them online at leecompany.com as I spit all over myself in front of the YouTube people. All right. We're going to be with you till 6:30 to talk about this game. And, I guess let's just start here because this is the thing that everybody wants to talk about, obviously. 615-737-1045. We'll take your thoughts on it throughout the whole show. Cam Ward, Dyson, where did he progress from what you saw during the game? Where do you think what do you think it really means for the Tennessee Titans? Because obviously another loss, and he even said it best, right? Yeah, hey, I feel like I improved, but I still want to win.
Yeah.
We didn't win.
Yeah.
So, it really doesn't matter if I improved or not.
And I love that verbiage coming out of him, man. I think, for me, I feel like Nashville, anybody at the heart that bleeds two-tone blue, you got you one. You got you a quarterback for the future if he continues to work hard, progressively get better week to week. He seems to process very well. I just really believe, y'all, we have a quarterback. And it hasn't progressed to wins, as you mentioned, right? We all want to win. And even last week where statistically he wasn't very good, he was under 50% and all those things. Yeah. But you never got the sense that the moment was too big for him. And it's still kind of the same thing. Today we got a sense of his ability to go off script, to make things happen, extending drives, extending the play, I should say, and things of that nature. There's a couple throws he missed. There's a couple throws he missed, a couple other opportunities. There might have been some mismanagement things in there, but he's 2 games in. So that's the crutch I'll give him for right now. He's 2 games in. However, the 2 games in, from my perspective, you see him progressively getting better. His ability to process and change up is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Now, granted, there's going to be those games like we saw statistically where he goes 11 for 28, and you're like, that was a bad game. It wasn't 11 for 28. It was like, man, he's going to be pretty good. But then there's going to be that game where he goes 23 for 28, 300-something yards. You'll be like, oh, he's new Warren Moon. You know what I mean? So, excuse me. So, but we understand that with a young quarterback. But Titan fans, we got a good quarterback. And that's the positive side of things. The other side of this is the things that doesn't help him is drops, which necessarily to me, as we did the week before, penalties, not being able to protect him, not be able to give him time, ran the ball a little bit better this week, so that's a positive sign. Stuff like that, and also keeping him on the sideline. Defense got to get out the field a little bit better in the game, not letting him play in front a little bit more. And then the biggest thing I'm sure fans will talk about is playing behind the downs. You're being third and long, second and long, things of that nature. That don't help any quarterback out, let alone a young quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. I think talking about areas where he's grown, first of all, to Kevin Dyson's point, 2 games in against 2 of the best defensive fronts in football. Mm-hmm. So to see this guy come out and still play calm, poised, in control, that's encouraging. And this week, I felt like we saw a little bit more of the backyard ball that we saw on his tape at Miami come out a little bit. We're seeing that chemistry develop with Alec Ayumanor, who had a good game. And I think there were some issues that it felt like Cam Ward kind of came back down to earth a little bit on. I felt like he ran into pressure a couple of times. Feeling the pocket was a little questionable. You and I watched this game together, Zach. We kind of talked about a couple of times where it felt like maybe he held on to the ball a little bit too long, but we were kind of asking, is that a byproduct of some of the mistakes he made last week being corrected, in which case you would say that's probably a positive development as well. But to me, seeing his ability to create, translate on that miraculous touchdown, and even that play where it was reviewed to see if his knee was down, where he's going to the ground and he just granny throws that football up to the receiver.
I about fainted because I thought that for sure was going to be like a Will Levis situation.
Oh, well,
I was like, oh.
We still haven't overcome that PTSD from last season, so we've grown to expect those kind of plays. But I think seeing that creative element in his game is something that we saw this week that we might not necessarily have seen last week.
Yeah. To that point with him, And again, and I'm not trying to put total blame on the offensive line and what happened. And I think you can't help it when you're a statue standing back there, you got 300-pounders come to take your head off to maybe bail out a little quicker or leave when you don't need to. But there was some times where I was happy he did. He was holding on, trying to let his guys work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't get young quarterbacks do that. They see it, that doesn't work, they jump off real quick. And you'll see a guy complete 22 balls for 96 yards.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not necessarily the case. He was looking to extend the play, throw vertically, because they even said in his presser, I like to throw the ball deep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And some of that was that, I think, where he's holding on to it maybe a little bit too long, trying to let his guys work. But from a receiver's perspective, I'm going to tell you, I appreciate that, because it's not like in practice where fresh legs, nobody's like covering like game speed, and the coverage might even be different than what you practiced in game and practice in game. But allow me the opportunity to work. That builds confidence in me that he's going to let me work and not just dump it off all the time. And I'm out here running sprints all game long and not getting opportunity.
Yeah, it felt like let's talk about the touchdown pass just real quick, because that was probably one of the few bright spots of this game. But we had a friend of ours, Trajan Watkins, who actually was in the end zone, and you got to see Elikai Manner's view of the whole situation unfolding. You got to see the play. The play was all going one way. That would be to Cam Ward's right side. And then Cam Ward starts rolling. He makes a signal to Elikai Manner. Elikai Manner makes a signal to him, and boom, he puts the ball across his body right in the only spot where Elikai Manner can catch it. Now,
over top of somebody's hands, too.
Yeah. Elikai, the old school guy in me would say, you can't make that throw. What are you doing? You're crazy. But the new school, that's an off-script play, and that's a guy who knows how to execute an off-script play. And this goes back to your Gunnar Helm comment where he makes where I almost fainted. He's a guy that knows how to handle and execute an off-script play. We saw last year there is a guy that made off-script plays that did not know how to handle it, that made the wrong decisions and didn't put the ball only in a way that his receivers could make a play on it. And that is the difference, because I've already seen the F&M Bank chat, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live comments are saying, y'all would flame Will Levis for making all these crazy throws. I say, well, to me, the difference is that Cam Ward can actually play within himself and play out of structure. Will Levis, dating back to Kentucky, never showed that. We saw this Cam Ward be able to do that in Miami. We never saw Will Levis do that on film.
Yeah, and I think it's a feel thing too. And I think when you show that you have a good feel for the offense, you have a good feel for your wide receivers springing open, the down and distance situational football, when the scenario calls for it, that's when you pull the trigger on something like that. I think that's something that we've seen from Cam Ward, where he does have a pretty decent feel for the game and what he can and can't get away with. Because there were times that, you could call the play reckless, but there were also times, like we just talked about, where he might have held on to the ball, or he might have, tucked it and ran, and that sort of thing. And I think it's that ability to decipher, when do we go reckless and when do we not, that separates the two.
I hear y'all, and I'm gonna agree. I agree with you, and I think the difference is with Will, it didn't seem to work out that often, and I think the difference between it worked out for Cam, and I'll use Lamar Jackson as an example. Traditionally, he is a drop back quarterback. People don't give him enough credit for his ability to sit there in the pocket and make plays because he's so athletic and so dynamic. But his off-script plays, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But we don't tend to remember the ones that don't, because the ones that are so dynamic when they work out, that when they don't, we're like, oh, it's just a one-off. And I'm hoping Cam keeps showing that, and not to the other side of it, where the FMN chat with Will Levis is like crucifying him for it, but it didn't work out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And when it did, it was like, well, that was lucky. Because so often it was to the other side of that. It just didn't work out when he did that. And I think that's the difference of why we seem to be giving grace, because it's worked out so far.
Yeah.
And I think we've also seen Cam Ward handle adversity well, right? And going back to your point that we got a dude, right? Like, you look at the Tennessee Titans and Cam Ward is a dude. Let me keep in mind let me keep in mind. I'm trying to get you guys
please,
to keep in mind.
Please keep in mind.
Keep in mind what I'm about to say. Is that Bo Nix, first 2 games, 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions last year as a rookie.
Come on.
Caleb Williams, we saw it last year.
Yeah.
This is a time and period for growth for rookies. Very rarely, if you're looking for Jaden Daniels or C.J. Stroud to be the rule, very rarely does that actually happen.
Right.
These are the situations you learn from. It's tough. We knew they were going to lose these games. In fact, today's performance is what I thought we were going to saw last week, in addition to what we saw today.
Yeah.
This is kind of what I thought.
I thought they played well for about 3, almost 2.5, 3 quarters.
And
Same
I
here.
think someone in the chat, Yuppie Mullets, I believe is her name.
For 3.5 quarters.
And to be fair, Yuppie Mullets makes a good point. We were punching above our weight this week, and I feel like that's what the Titans were doing for 3 quarters, was punching above their weight. Last week, it was for 4 quarters.
Yeah.
Last year, I don't know if there's many games where I can point to where they were really punching above their weight.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot to talk about with coaching this game. I'm not trying to, let coaching off the hook, but we're talking about Cam Ward. And I think Cam Ward is a guy that if we're talking about, he's the dude, right? When you have the dude, you can punch above your weight for a long time. It may not work for all 4 quarters, but you can do it. Yeah. He's a guy that towards the end of this week, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm talking to Blaine on Cover 2, 1 to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, is that I don't know. I get to like Friday after spending like 4 days saying this team has no chance. I get to Friday and I'm like, I don't know, Cam Ward, though. When's the last time we've been able to say that? I don't know, Cam Ward, though.
Yeah, that's a good feeling to be able to say that, man. I don't feel like it's been a while. And I'm trying to think of the quarterbacks that have been drafted, especially high like that. And Mariota comes to mind. Levis, not necessarily high as like Cam Ward, but he was up there. Even Vince, I'm trying to think. Locklear.
I would say Vince Young, I probably had that for his rookie years. Like, I don't know, Vince Young.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we could do something.
But even with Vince, off script and athleticism helped him. And we were like, we got used to seeing that. But he didn't have that same sense of progressively getting better that I feel like.
In the other aspects.
In the other aspects of the game. He was such a dynamic, such a talented guy. Had this city really, and I love VY. But he didn't give that same sense of, hey, I'm here for the long haul. I'm going to get better. Y'all just seeing the start of this. And I think that's why people are so enamored with Cam is he gives you this sense of, man, I can't wait. He's going to be special. You know what I mean?
Right.
He gives you that sense.
Can I gush about one more Cam Ward play while we're talking about him?
You sure can.
Yeah, so this is something I think if you're just watching the game back, probably doesn't look like much of a play, but there was a time when Witherspoon went out and the Rams replaced him with Emmanuel Forbes, who is a smaller, more slender corner, paired up against Alec Ayumanner, one-on-one outside. I told you before the ball was snapped, I said, Zach, I think he's got Ayumanner one-on-one with a cornerback that he's got like a foot size or height advantage and like 100-pound weight advantage.
Right.
And I'm getting excited before the ball's even snapped, thinking about, oh man, if he sees that matchup. The ball was snapped and he did. He saw and he attacked the matchup. The ball was a little bit off, and that's why I say it may on the surface look like it wasn't much of a play. It was a missed opportunity, that sort of thing. But I think when you dial it back and look at this is Cam Ward's second game in the NFL, and he's already identifying stuff like that and attacking it. I think that's another testament to his game from the neck up.
His processing is phenomenal right now.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I think that's because I don't want people to get confused because if you're just tuning in, you may sound like we're trying to gush over the Tennessee Titans loss. It was a blowout loss.
I mean, I did tell you during the game at 2016, I'm like, game's over for me. Like, I've seen all I need to see.
But like what we're talking about right now is Cam Ward because Cam Ward's the future, right?
That's what you build around.
We pretty much have talked about all offseason that it doesn't matter what the win-loss records really look like now for the owners, for the people making decisions of who stays, who goes as far as that. It does matter. But for us on the outside looking in, it's all about Cam Ward. And if you're talking about Cam Ward in a vacuum, because you can, there was some bad today, but you can look at quarterback play in a vacuum outside of the offensive line, outside of wide receiver drops, what they are doing pre-snap, what they are doing post-snap, how quick are they looking around the field and scanning, the decisions that they make when they're under pressure. Cam Ward has shown you 2 weeks that operationally he is sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That while maybe there are moments and lapses in judgment of sensing pressure, overall his ability to maneuver a muddy pocket and make plays off script, off the charts.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to build on. You're not going to get a perfect quarterback passer. You're not getting Joe Burrow. I know that's what everybody has talked about, or Patrick Mahomes and all that. Like, that's not who you're getting right out of the box. You just unwrapped a new toy. It's going to be a little stiff here and there. It's got to get loose.
Yeah.
And right now, Cam Ward looks to be that dude.
Even to me, Mahomes is one of the guys that is an off-script guy. He's not.
Yeah.
They give him credit for being a pocket passer, but he's a processor. He's not. He does a lot of his damage off-script, running and extending drives and making plays. He's not a Joe Burrow in his sense either. In that sense, he's not the Peyton Manning, the Tom Brady sense. He has that ability,
right?
I think so, but I think people don't give him enough credit for his ability to go off script and move and extend drives either, just because they put him in this box as a quote unquote pocket passer. I think if you're judging the coaching with Cam and what's going on, I think there's certain things that coaching has no influence on, so to speak, and one of those is effort, right?
Right.
And how the team is playing. Are they playing hard? Are they coming up here and things like that? So that's a telltale sign when guys don't seem to be giving effort. Now, the NFL is harder to see that because guys really play hard because livelihoods are on the line. So they're always going to play hard. So that might not be the best statement. But my point is the other part of this, that coaching aspect that not necessarily coaching, is the penalties. And I'm not giving him a pass on that because you can address it. You can punish guys in practice for false start, make them run laps and all that stuff, try to beat it out of them, so to speak. That's a player standpoint. Me paying attention to my job and being intentional with, I don't move until that ball moves. I got to know the snap count as a receiver or as an offensive lineman. I know I can't come back and peel back and knock this guy's head off. I know I can't take that shot. I know I can't go low on that quarterback. That's from a player. You own that. So I'm not giving the pass from Callahan and already everything else that he can improve on, and neither would him himself. But the stuff that not him, that the player can control, like your effort and attention to detail, that is the difference a lot in the two games to me, is those things that's on the player as well. Now, I'm not giving pass. Everybody listen, I'm not saying Callahan and everybody has called a perfect game. He probably would tell you the same thing. I'm not saying that. But the players have to own some of that too. Man, we can't be we got, what'd you say, 23 penalties for almost 200 yards?
For the last 2 weeks, we've gotten 23 penalties for 193 yards.
See, and some of that, that's on. How many drive killers are those? But today killed a touchdown.
Yeah. And like the shaky start that they got on offense, they had a couple of nice plays to start that drive, but then 2 false starts, penalties, and it turns into like 3rd and 23 or something like that.
That's not Callahan. You know what I'm saying? That's not Cam Ward either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's attention to detail. That's the guys doing their part. Now, I expect as it got better from 13 to 10, you expect it's going to be better. You're not going to always have these double-digit penalties.
7 next week.
Yeah.
Get us down to 7.
Get us down to 7. Below double digits. But that's the things that when you're a young team rebuilding, you got a young quarterback trying to do things, you can't have stuff that's killing it. And because now, as we've seen, 3rd and super longs, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, that's if Hall of Fame quarterbacks can't always overcome that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's the second week in a row that they've brought it up in the post-game press conferences. Is like we end up in 3rd and forever.
Yeah.
And that's hard to overcome.
The same thing. That's you can add on to not only just second time this year, but they've mentioned it 17 games last year. So
there you go.
Just to say there is a common thread that it seems to be that maybe this is an undisciplined team. But when we come back, we'll go to your phones. We're going to go to Eric, Austin, Adam. This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback here on 104.5 The Zone. That's right. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company, tackle their heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical problems, and they can protect your home too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. We're going to get to the phones, but I just got to read this stat. I want to put out some positive vibes, so I got to read this stat out here.
Love it.
Because we can't keep the funky cheese man, who's a real caller, online for long.
Can't keep him at bay.
Can't keep him at bay. This is from NFL and CBS. Cam Ward has been sacked 11 times through his first two career games. No quarterback has been sacked more than that over their first two games over the last blank seasons. We got producer Jackson over in the glass. I've already told them, how many seasons do you think it's been since there has been a quarterback sacked? No quarterback has been sacked more than that, the 11 over two games, over their first two games over the last blank seasons.
35.
Ooh.
I'm sorry, you're too low. It's 75 seasons.
Oh.
75 seasons.
Almost double or over double.
God.
You know what? Maybe the Titans should invest in the offensive line.
Yeah, maybe they should, Stoney. Maybe they should. As last year, they were on the wrong side of all kinds of records.
Yeah.
And they've continued that trend. One common thread between those two seasons. Let's go to Eric in Nashville. Eric, you're on with Blaine and Zach. Or nope, you're on with Titans Talkback.
That's okay. Hey, guys, first of all, I certainly like the touchdown pass by Cam Ward today because I tell you what, it reminded me of, when he did it, reminded me of the Miami-Boston College game. Doug Flutie to Joe Phelan when I see him roll around like that. And certainly I was glad that happened because it more than made up for that horrible penalty call on the kick return touchdown, which should have been a touchdown. That was horrible when they showed the back on the Jumbotron. And, guys, I'll tell you what, I also like the next series we got the interception, which got the field goal right before the half. That was good, but bad, like you talked about. The two back-to-back penalties on the first drive. Also the fact that we had three penalties first 6 plays, if I'm not mistaken, when the Rams had the ball. I believe it was a third down, and the defender got a spectacular hit right near the sidelines on the Rams receiver. But away from the play, we caught the penalty. That kept the drive alive, and they got a touchdown. It was just so frustrating, all the penalties and stuff that we got. The fact also, guys, that we just were not able to get any pressure on Matthew Stafford. I think we only got one sack on him, but credit to him, he was able to avoid the sacks. Guys, I wanted to know what was the latest on injury status. I think, didn't we have another lineman go down today, offensive lineman? We already had Latham out. We also had somebody on defense out. Was he the only one? Were there any other injuries, just status of injuries happening in the games today? Guys, y'all take care. We'll talk to you again soon. Tighten up.
Thanks, Eric. The only one that I have seen is that Zeitler went down with some kind of injury, and Blake Hance came in for him and allowed one pressure over 16 snaps.
And gave up a pressure while he was at it.
Both on the right side. Both injuries so far off the line to the right side.
Yeah. Not looking. That's not a good thing for offensive line depth is atrocious league wide anyway, but it is definitely atrocious here at the Tennessee Titans because it's bad. It's bad back there behind that.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, you just said they're breaking records that have stood for 75 seasons. 75 seasons.
I tell you.
Do you want to talk about, since Eric brought it up, the penalty on Cedric Gray on that kickoff?
Yeah. So by the letter of the rule, it's correct, but I think it's I think it's a stupid rule because I mean, what are you supposed to? When did that rule even? First off, when did it even come into place? But apparently, you have to walk down there like an actual zombie, like this, and before you can touch him because you can't just hit him. And I understand if it's like an egregious blind side.
That's my head.
But that wasn't egregious either. So I get the rule.
And he could have really gone in if he wanted to. He just tapped him so this guy can be free.
Right.
So the rule is, just to be clear, like it would have been okay if he had pushed him with his hands, but since he drove his shoulder into him, that's what caused the flag. Which I don't know if it being behind the play had any bearing on it or not, but it didn't feel like it was like late or behind or anything like that. It felt like a really close call that is technically right by the rule book, but I think Zach raises the appropriate question here. Should that even be a rule?
Yeah, I think the rule needs to allow for a little bit more, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, because that, when you watch it happen live and then when you watch it, even on the replays, it's not like a targeting rule or anything, right? It's not like he's like leading with the helmet or anything. I just think that while it is the letter of the rule, right? And that ultimately, you can't fault the ref for that.
Yeah.
Because it is the letter of the rule. Mm-hmm. I just think the rule is not very good.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at on that. Let's go to Austin, who wants to talk Tennessee Titans. Austin, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hey there, guys. I appreciate y'all taking my call. Just looking at Callahan, he's 3-16 as a head coach now with the Titans, and a lot of penalties. Seems to be a discipline problem. At what point are we looking at it and saying, hey, there might be time to go somewhere else? I appreciate y'all taking my call. I'm going to hang up so I can listen.
Well,
listen, I get it.
My buddy over at UCLA got fired, 14 games in?
Yeah. Well, he started off 0-3, and then the Virginia Tech coach also got fired after starting off 0-3. I understand it, but the NFL, I don't know who you go to in this particular staff, and you don't bring in an entirely new staff. And I think that actually damages Ward more. I don't think you're going to damage him regardless because he's that kind of guy. But I think
I agree.
You kind of also make Ward look a little silly for the stuff that he has said, backing up Callahan and all this kind of stuff if you were to fire him. But I understand I'm not an owner of an NFL team, and owners are essentially just us.
Well, they do have people on staff that technically have head coach experience, whether the players respond differently to, like, Mike McCoy or his dad. There are two people that come to mind. They're both on the offensive side of the ball. Both have head coach experience. Callahan has been to Super Bowl. His dad, as a matter of fact, he beat us. He was head coach of the Raiders when we went down there in the AFC Championship game, and they played Tampa. So he has experience. There are that, but his dad would feel some type of way taking over being interim head coach while his son.
I'm sure he would probably just leave, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't because the NFL's a business.
It's a business, and he understands it. But I don't know if that's the answer right now, like you said, for Cam Ward. And you heard Cam talk about how he wants him here with him. Now he's
he may not get it next year, but he at least wants it this year.
Yeah, but Cam said he wants it for years to come. He may not get it after the
Patriots game, but he's at least got it for right now.
But way Cam talks now, he's going to say that things publicly, of course. Whether he feels that are different or not, that remains to be seen. But he speaks highly of Callahan and his progression and what he has meant to him as a player. So there's something to say about that.
And to be honest, unless you're losing a locker room, because clearly Matt Eberflus last year with the Chicago Bears and then all that stuff at what happened in the Thanksgiving game and all that, he lost his team.
Yeah.
Callahan has not lost his team. This is just not a good team. Yeah. Listen, I understand that. I said the same exact thing last year, but it really is true. They have not given up on their team. So that's not a mid-season firing. That's an after-season firing for me right now.
I would agree with that. I think you raise an interesting point, though. If we are to operate under the premise that owners are just like fans with money, well, look at what the fans are saying right now. The Titans fans are pretty, unified in an anti-Callahan message right now. So you can't really predict what that decision is going to be coming from the top. I personally don't think it would be very prudent to fire him, especially during the season, for the reasons that you guys mentioned. It's detrimental to Cam Ward's development. It's not going to be received well, but I still want to mention we're 2 games into the season. I think if we see problems, issues lingering well past the midway point of the season, then maybe we can have a serious conversation about it.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, and Denard Wilson's not going to solve this issue, by the way. I see a lot of people clamor for interim head coach Denard Wilson, but we've seen him now against 2 Matt LaFleur-esque schemes, and I think he's been over-aggressive in both. And he has never been a head coach before, so now you're asking him to be a head coach, and who's going to be defensive play caller? Is he going to do both? Because that's what Callahan's doing, and I don't think he can do both. Yeah. And being a head coach is an entirely different skill set, no matter what we may think of Denard Wilson, the defensive coordinator, and Brian Callahan, the head coach. I don't think that's the right move, because then you're still running into the question, well, who's calling plays? Who's designing the plays? Who's game planning on offense? Who are you choosing out of that crew to do that? So it presents its own set of variables that this team right now is not ready to answer.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think you can look back at recent history. This is an organization that has fired a head coach, fired 2 general managers in each of the last 3 seasons. maybe a little stability could do this franchise some good. And I think there are plenty of fair criticisms of Brian Callahan in this game, as well as there were last week. But I don't think he was the reason they lost today. I thought he had some nice moments in this and mixed some things up. But I think it's a conversation that could probably stand to have a little patience with it. And I'm not entertaining the idea until I'm seeing issues plaguing this team well into this season.
And I'm all for entertaining by the way, the idea that, okay, after this year, I'm good. Like, I have to see more from Brian Callahan. I have to be fair to him like I was with Will Levis. One good game, okay, that's fine. Be consistent with it. And if you can't show consistency as a head coach, your team's not going to show consistency on the field. And maybe that's where we're trending right now is that, hey, we have a head coach that can't be consistent, but so let's weather the storm through this year and then try again next year.
So,
and it's unfortunate, but that may be the cycle we're in right now.
Well, let me ask you, if he gave up play calling duty and they started being more efficient offensively, started winning some football games, you still had the same mindset?
Probably not, but I would probably be saying, okay, obviously he was able to recognize that he couldn't do it all.
Yeah.
And now maybe our in-game situations have improved. The penalties cut down. Maybe he can focus on stuff that he's not able to focus on right now. But ultimately, what if he never gives it up? And I think that's a good question. Like, I really do think that this could be an issue of him doing too much and he's not able to do it.
Yeah, that's just the trend of the NFL these days, with coordinators also calling and calling plays, and some are doing it much better than others, obviously, because guys tend to go. I think for me, listen to the conversation, and I just thinking about what a fan might say about fire him. There's something about players building a relationship with coaches and trust. And that's why I brought that up earlier. I don't feel like the players don't have trust in him. I think fans are, again, we're fans. We want it now. Instant gratification.
Right.
We want a Super Bowl.
No matter how much we may have kind of warned people that this was coming, they still didn't want to hear it.
They still didn't want to hear it, right? And I think from a player's perspective, we want a chance to build it, right? Build something consistent, play together, have guys together. If you got your core guys, of course, like the Big Jeffs and now Cam are kind of some of your core guys, and you got people coming in around them. But what we want is guys that's going to come in, be a good locker room guy, be good for the culture, fit in, work hard, and be a part of the process, and we build this team together. But if we continue to move pieces here and there, we never feel like we can get gel and get that cohesiveness going, regardless of who the head coach is. But then if you throw that monkey wrench and let the coach go, and that would be the data I'd be interested in, is when that has happened, whether college football or pro football, it was because we're talking football, you can even look into basketball as well. When you fire a guy and go interim, when has that ever turned out positive?
If you get like the new coach head bump or new head coach bump for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then you just end up probably the last guy that it was actually was like, oh, there is a unique difference to this team would be Rich Bisaccia of the Raiders a couple of years ago. But then they went in a totally different direction and brought in Josh McDaniel and did all this kind of stuff.
I remember that. He sure did.
And listen, he never got a head coaching job anywhere else. So I think the NFL kind of told you he's not head coaching material. Unfortunate for him.
Yeah.
Like the NFL kind of lets you know who is and who isn't through a couple coaching cycles, head coaching material. When we come back, we're going to talk more. We're going to go to the phones because we still got Adam in Portland. We got Ken, Funky Cheese Man, who we did keep on hold. I'm sorry, Funky Cheese Man. Cedric, Mike, and whoever's calling in right now. This is the Lee Company Titans Talk back here on 104.5 The Zone. Lee Company. All you need, visit them online at leecompany.com. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. The Tennessee Titans defense is on pace for a 17-sack season. Does that get you guys excited? Speaking of sacks, let's go to the Kroger Sack for Cash. Kroger's set to check out today's final sack numbers tonight thanks to Amani Hooker. Amani Hooker, the safety. The Titans had 1 sack versus the Rams, adding $100 to an already big total of $500, including the preseason. Total to $600 for Kroger's donation to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee. Every time the Titans sack the opposing team's quarterback, Kroger donates $100 Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee from Kroger. Through its Zero Hunger, Zero Waste plan, Kroger is committed to creating communities free of hunger and waste. Kroger is the official tailgate headquarters of the Tennessee Titans. Try Boost by Kroger Plus for free pickup and delivery, plus 2 times the fuel points with your membership. Start your free trial today at Kroger.com. Pay as low as 1 cent per gallon when you redeem fuel points by using your shopper's card. Every 100 points gets you 10 cents off per gallon. Exclusions apply. Visit Kroger.com for details. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Adam in Portland. Adam in Portland, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Hey, appreciate it, Zach. Hey, Dice, love you, man.
Appreciate it, brother.
I say that to say, you guys, I think you guys are crazy right now. And the fact that you're not more fired up to fire this incompetent coach is insane to me. I understand you're the flagship, so it's going to be different here than it is in other places. But this young quarterback, dude, we saw.
Well, it's only different
today.
Here because we're a little bit more sensible.
Oh, sensible! My God, dude.
Well, I mean, like, what is it going to? Who's going to replace him?
Who cares? Anybody, and especially
anybody can replace him. Stoney, let's go. Let's go. Me and
I'll
you.
put my coaching hat
Adam in
on.
Portland, you get up there. Let's get you hired.
Hell yeah, dude. All right, check it. I promise you I'll protect him. I'll put a tight end on either side. Whatever it takes, dude. Look, the only way we've driven up 1 touchdown in 2 weeks is some crazy busted play where our quarterback has to look really special and throw across his body. Other than that, he can't protect him. He's proven to you he doesn't know the rules. Nobody in that locker room trusts him. If y'all act like he hasn't lost the locker room, they all think he's dumb, just like I think he's dumb. His dad is Mr. Hall of Fame offensive line coach, and you give up 11 sacks. You give up a record number 75-year sack. Are you kidding me, dude? Like, I can't understand how you guys aren't more on board with this. Like,
But because there's nobody better. You don't have you can even name me anybody on the staff that could be interim head coach better than Brian Kelly.
Put him. I don't care, dude. Anybody on that staff.
Anybody could do it.
Like,
And that to you
anybody
solves,
could do it
solves
better
all
than
the
what he's doing
issues.
it right now, man.
Okay, so who's going to coach special teams?
He could do both. You
Why?
could do the head coach and the special teams. Absolutely. What we're
Y'all
saying
say
is
that.
anybody can do it better than what Callahan's doing it right now, right? Like, he set a record for sacks in 2 weeks. Who's doing it worse?
I mean, I agree that he's doing it worse, but there's nobody better right now because this is the bet they made. They should have fired him. They should have fired him. They should have fired him when they fired Rand Carthon. And they're going to, right now, they should fire him at the end of the season. But firing him right now does nothing. It does nothing but make the team worse. It does nothing but make the team worse. And I know that sounds crazy because they're a pretty bad team, but it does nothing.
Zach, give me one redeeming quality, something this coach has done well, and I promise you I'll retract everything.
I can't.
There you go.
Okay.
Exactly.
I will tell you this. I think that he has made Cam Ward look better. I think he's prepared Cam Ward.
Because you're related to him. There's no way you believe that.
I'm related to Cam Ward? I don't think I don't think that's the right skin color for me to be related to Cam Ward. I think you're way off on that one. Either way, like, that's the thing is, like, I'm all for firing Brian Kelly, but there is nothing right now it's going to benefit anybody. You
said it best.
Brian, you hurt Cam Ward more.
And I hear him. And I that you're entitled to his opinion.
Yeah.
And we're an opinion-based show. But what benefit does it do you in the first 2 going into the week 3 of a season, other than create more turmoil, more questions, more inconsistencies? I don't know if there's, like you said, and no way Amy or anybody is going to say we're going to hire somebody right now to at this point is going to be the guy. You know how much money that is? I don't know how much. I don't even know Callahan's contract, but I know Amy's over here like, listen, we got to make some things work now. You better. And I'm trying to have a conversation. So I know it sounds easy for a fan to just fire a guy, but there's a lot more that goes into that. And again, to that point, Zach, of what does it change at this juncture? Now you get to, like you talking about, of 6, 7, 8 games in, and you're 0-7, 1-8 or whatever, or 1-7 or whatever, then you're like, well, it's all done now. We might as well.
Yeah. Can I say something? Bones Fossil took over a bad team as interim head coach, and there's no slight to Bones Fossil, but he did that once, 0-3. Nothing changed.
Ooh.
Nothing changed. And let me tell you something. Everybody who says it can't get worse, it can absolutely get worse.
It could get
right
worse.
now, special teams, your one bright spot. You want to make that worse by taking away the guy that's in charge of it so he can focus, and who's your play caller? I will say again, who's your play caller? The defense isn't going to be suddenly great because Bones Fossil is your special teams coordinator.
Yeah.
Like, your problem still persists, but now you're making special teams worse. Your lone bright spot, your lone consistent bright spot outside of your quarterback, you're making it worse. Like, it's just logic, guys. I am with you.
I hear what Adam's talking about.
Yeah,
I definitely hear
I
it.
am with you. I don't think there's much here that I can defend about Brian Callahan. I've bashed Brian Callahan on Football and Other F Words on Thursdays, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, for like an hour and 20 minutes with Stoney Keeley. I bashed Brian Callahan almost the entire week for not knowing the plays. The problem is that you are cutting your nose and spite your face at this point. Like, this is the bed that they have made. They have to sleep in it, and then they have to get it right in the next offseason. But what if for everything that can happen in the NFL, there is a crazy way that maybe Cam Ward, much like Joe Burrow, drags a mediocre head coach to wins. I don't know. I don't agree with it. I'd fire Zach Taylor too. But that's just, at the end of the day, you don't know what a quarterback can do as the season progresses.
Zach Taylor has been to a Super Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So regardless, that carries weight, regardless of.
And then to be honest, if they were to fire him, if they lose to the Patriots and they were to fire him, I would understand it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't benefit your young quarterback to not have at least stability throughout the season.
I think too. What does that look like going forward? Again, we talked about it. There's a couple people on staff with head coach experience in the National Football League. Albeit some of it not as successful as others, but does that impact the team how does that translate into what the locker room does and what the players feel? Do they play for that person, whoever they decide to?
And this
use?
idea that the players have given up on him, I don't.
I was going to ask, I don't have anybody in my phone that is actually connected to the Titans organization, or not organization, but connected to the beat that is telling me, oh man, he's starting to really lose this locker room.
There's no way.
I think that's guesswork. And I want to be gentle, but it's just like nobody, unless you're in that locker room, there are few people that have the authority to actually claim, oh, well, he's lost the locker room. And to me, that is premature, and it's just nothing more than guesswork. Yeah. I haven't heard anything personally to indicate otherwise.
Well, I think when people say that, they're trying to figure out, well, what's happening, why.
Yeah.
And sometimes the other team is just better than us. That happens, right? Sometimes we make more mistakes than the other team, and that happens. And it's to that point where the Broncos and Rams are in their progression towards a championship caliber roster are ahead of where the Titans are.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? However, they are professional athletes. So this same two teams can play in 6 weeks, and the outcome could be completely different, where the Titans beat them 30-something and some 16 or whatever it was. That's just how the league goes. It's just a matter of injuries, timing, this field conditions, the weather. There's a lot of factors that go into it. You just never know. So all that to say, I'm not giving anybody a pass. We're not saying that. Just saying, if you do that, what is the ramifications? What is the ripple effect of doing something after the first 2 weeks of a season of a head coach tenure who's only been here for one complete season and 2 games?
Right. And again, we go back to losing the players in the locker room. Where's your evidence?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell me they're not playing hard, not being competitive.
I mean, heck, we saw Xavier Woods flying around. I know he missed one tackle, but and it was a pretty big tackle. Yeah. But he was flying around giving his all. This team was fighting through the whole thing. And look, there are teams last week who wanted to fire their coaches, and their coaches came back, still lost today, but they put up a competitive fight. The Tennessee Titans have put up 2 weeks of competitive fighting. Now, did the competitive fighting eventually die off today? Yes. They were severely outmatched and out-talented. If you're surprised that they lost these last 2 games, then you guys were living in a different reality all offseason, because we've been saying they're going to lose these games.
Yeah.
And again, it's not about the wins and losses if you're a Titans fan, and I know that's hard to understand. It's about Cam Ward. Now, you got to keep Cam Ward safe. I agree. You got to keep him safe. You got to keep him upright. 11 sacks cannot happen. Bill Callahan Brian Callahan, they have had a blind spot with this offensive line. Heck, this franchise has had a blind spot with this offensive line the last 4 years, it feels like right now. And we're trending in another direction. But at the end of the day, there is no good solution. So you kind of have to tread water right now and see if the players can pull themselves out of it and perform on the field. Because at the end of the day, Brian Callahan, I still have him with the majority of the share pie, the blame pie. I mean, that's just how I am. I am looking at what happened last year, looking at this year. Right now, Brian Callahan has the majority of the blame pie. But these players also got to go out there and be physical. Yeah. And I haven't seen that from the offensive line quite yet. And that's one of my big questions. Let's keep going to the phones. Let's go to Ken, who wants to talk Tennessee Titans. Ken, you're on with Blaine.
Hey, guys.
Again.
Hi, guys. How are y'all?
I do good. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well.
One thing concerned me. I've been a season ticket holder since '99. I saw Kevin Dyson make the Music City Miracle, and it was awesome. Seen some great plays and just great times, and it's just been a funk the last 3 years, really, or 4, 5. Anyways, I got you. Anyway, just the way it is. But what bothers me is that the right side, the east side of the lower bowl, was all Rams, solid. There was 15,000 people there that were Rams fans. That means our people have sold out for money. They bought their tickets, so they figure they can make $200 on a ticket and just say, to heck with it, I'll watch it on TV. They're no good anyway. But I feel like they've sold out, and it bothers me. I'm sitting there, and I'm pulling hard for them. And when the whole lower bowl, I hope it's not like that in all other pro. You guys go to other games in other cities. I don't know what it's like, but we're just getting hammered by the opposition because people are just selling their tickets. That's one thing. All right, one other thing that I want you to comment on that, though. One thing, why in the heck Stafford had his receivers open in the middle all day long? I don't know whether we were in a zone and we should have been man-to-man, but they ate us alive in the middle. And yet when our receivers were running for their lives to catch a ball, it was along the sidelines. I didn't see much in the middle. Now, Kevin, you can tell me about that because of your vast experience as a pro receiver. But what was the deal there? I mean, every time I turn around, Stafford's awesome. He's awesome. But throw that ball in the middle, and their guy, everybody says, oh, I hate to catch the ball over the middle. I'll get killed. Man, these guys were wide open, and nobody was around them. It was just poor coaching in that part. Now, I'll let you go, but those two things I would like for you to address.
Thanks, Ken. Oops, sorry.
I'll say this about the fans and the stadium. That's been a growing trend, especially here in Nashville, for the past probably 10 seasons, maybe a little bit longer.
I would say 10 seasons is about right.
Yeah.
It was the year that the Detroit Lions Jake Locker game. Now, Detroit Lions fans weren't there, but that's about then. So that'd be about 10 years because that was the year that like San Francisco fans came in there. They took over. Jets fans.
Was it Green Bay that year?
Yeah, I think so.
Green Bay.
I mean, there was a lot of fans.
And this has become a transient city. Like it's become a tourist town.
Yep.
So in just giving context of that, like if you are in a tourist-rich town, you tend, especially in this era of selling tickets online and things of that nature, you tend to get a lot of people making money off their seats.
Yeah.
Like if you go to a Raiders game, yeah, there's Raider fans there, but there's people from wherever at that game. If you go to New York, same kind of thing. You know, you got your teams there, the Jets and Giants, but you also got a transient city. So people tend to go, I've never been to New York. Let's go to a game. That sort of thing. So Nashville has become that. So that's why you're seeing that.
Yeah.
Now, as far as like the play calling of middle of the field, outside the numbers, the edges, and I'll give him two different quarterbacks, Mariota and Cam Ward. And obviously the offenses are a little bit designed differently, but the knock on Mariota was he couldn't throw outside the hashes. He couldn't get the ball outside the numbers, not effectively. He was very good, much more efficient between the hashes, middle of the field. And so I think they schemed a lot of things in that way. I think right now, schematically, I think he's a mixed bag. I think if you watch what the Bengals have done with Jamar Chase and Higgins and the like, is they mix it up a lot. But a lot of their big plays come because their big receivers make plays on the edges. And that's why T. Higgins become a great vertical threat. And we know Jamar Chase is a good one-on-one guy. He's one of the best in the game, if not the best in the game right now as far as receivers. And I think that also is a telltale sign in that. I think the other part of that is the confidence in the guys who typically operate in that area, or your slot receiver and your tight ends. And so he's got to build that rapport with those guys too, the body language, because those throws are normally tight. Now, his argument was, well, the Rams seem to be running free in the middle of the field. And I think some of that was coverage. The Titans played a lot of two-man, so they're underneath the guys over top. There was a lot of that. And so some of these throws were just – Stafford made one throw. I was just like, man, that's a guy who's been in the league and seen it all, because he made a dime. He dropped a dime. He caught it for the receiver. And I think it's just timing and no tendency. So knowing, hey, they like this coverage versus this set on between these down and distances. And so they created some matchups, created some passing lanes, things of that nature. And again, that goes to familiarity with your players, your offensive line being able to protect, your quarterback being a veteran, things of that nature. So all this stuff is going to come. Like next week, he can complete 25 balls and 18 of them are between the hashes. You know what I mean? It's just, I think it just ebbs and flows with what you need in that moment.
When we come back, we'll get to more of your phones. We'll also talk more about the defenses. Not covered.
You almost got it. Come on.
Almost got it. It's Lee Company Sign Talk back here on 105 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. And available 24/7. Put Lee Company on your team to tackle your home's heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical problems. Schedule online at leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. And Fusion Site is the Titans provider of top-of-the-line VIP restroom, trailer, and roll-off dumpster needs. Fusion Site, Nashville's MVP. Visit fusionsite.com to learn more. And listen, Stoney has a list of 5 to 6 things that Brian Callahan does well. But before we get to that list, this tremendous list, some calling it the big beautiful list, we're going to get to some guys that have been hanging on the phone line for a while. Funky Cheese Man, he's gone. I don't know what happened to him.
Oh, Funky Cheese Man.
We lost Funky Cheese Man. We were too slow with the phone. So we're going to go to Cedric, who wants to talk about Brian Callahan. Cedric, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Man, what's up, fellas? KD, man, I'm sitting in the stadium today. I'm looking at the top of the new Nissan Stadium, and I'm thinking about that game, that beautiful gym that y'all pitched, man, in 1999 against the Rams, and how far our franchise has fallen. The fan base, man, doesn't have the energy anymore, and it's because of the front office, man. I'm going to take it away from Brian Callahan and Mike Vrabel. We don't hire good people. We hired Mike Vrabel when he was the 32nd ranked defensive coordinator in the league. Why? Because his name's Mike Vrabel. We could have had Matt LaFleur, and we wouldn't have to worry about a head coach right now. And then we go out and we hire an offensive GM who's never called plays before. I was at the game in Denver. Sean Payton, second half adjustments, murdered us. Today, second half adjustments, Sean McVay murdered us. Sean McVay, 30 years old, got hired. Offense has been just phenomenal. Sometimes you have it and sometimes you don't. Brian Callahan does not have it. And Adam, my man in Portland, let me tell you this. On September 29th, our worries will be over. Callahan is going to be gone after he loses that game in Houston to the Texans, and our troubles are over. We can move on and get ready for Matt Nagy to come in here and save the franchise. That's all I got.
Oh, so you're a Matt Nagy guy. So you're not
Baltimore.
a Todd Monken, Joe Brady guy, or are you open to those guys as well?
Listen, man, I want a dude that's been a head coach before. If that dude can get Mitchell Trubisky to the playoffs, then I want to see what he can do with Cam Ward, man. I mean, he got Trubisky to the playoffs, and that sorry Bears franchise that he inherited. 2 playoff teams, man. Come on, bro. One losing season. Come on, man. I can't do it, man. Hey, September 29th, dog. I'm calling it right now. Amy's gonna fire you, boy. We up out of here, man. Holla.
I like it. I like Cedric.
That's my guy.
Let me, because he speaks on something that we were talking about before the show, second half adjustments. What are the kind of like misnomers, I guess you could say, the common misconceptions about second half adjustments?
So I think when people hear adjustments, they assume you kind of scrap the game plan, ball it up, and throw in trash, and now we're doing this. That's not necessarily entirely the case. When I've never been in a locker room, even as a coach, as a high school kids, and gone in and said, hey, we're just going to scrap this game plan. I don't know. This ain't working. We're going to do it. What you do typically is your adjustment is, for instance, on offense, hey, next time we run this play, we're not going to motion because they're shifting to this. So we're going to make sure we got our guys in place. We're going to take advantage of our alignment to make this play. And that sometimes is the quote unquote adjustments. It's just cosmetic things, more or less. It's not necessarily game plan ish. Now, there are some things we didn't talk about, like, for instance, they know our protection slides or calls. And so their adjustment is they're blitzing two off the weak side. We don't have but one blocker that's going to leave us Cam Nick. There's stuff like that. So now on this play, our blocking scheme, we're going to slide this way, and that means you're responsible for this guy, and he's hot. We could throw that. So there's stuff like that I don't know if that's being done, that per se, that could be impactful. But what Sed is talking about is what we've been talking about. There seems to be a lack of instincts in what Callahan has sometimes in the play calling to generate consistent offense, explosive offense. I think to the point earlier we talked about, as somebody said, is in the first half, it seems things are going well. Second half, again, to that word adjustment, it hasn't necessarily been there. So it's almost like when the team or the other team is adjusting and saying, hey, when they line up like this, we're not going to show our hand. We're just going to line up in too high, or we're going to rotate late, or we're going to shift guys. Whatever their quote-unquote adjustment is not being replicated on the other side is what people feel like. And that's only for Callahan and his staff to know if that's truly happening. But from the layman's eyes, from the people watching that have seen it, we're like, they're out, quote unquote, coaching us because they are adjusting and we can't figure it out. And that's what people feel.
Do you have anything else to add?
No, I was going to say I don't have anything to add because I have not been in an NFL
There's a couple of
room.
people that just been hanging on for a while. Let's go to Mike in Old Hickory. Mike, you're on with coverage. Dang it.
Yep.
Titans Talkback. Titans Talkback.
Hey, Mike.
Yep. I watched the game today, and I didn't think Cam Ward did a very bad job at all. 175 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. And he's playing for a team that's so discombobulated and so disfigured. I think he's doing a pretty damn good job. So you know what I'd like to ask Cam Ward, what do you think of Brian Callahan and the coaching staff? Because apparently all the people that have been calling in now, let's get rid of the coaching staff. Fire them now. Hire this guy. Hire that guy. I want to know what Cam Ward thinks.
I agree with you, Mike. And now we may never know what really Cam Ward
we
thinks.
won't, but I'm guarantee Amy and them know.
Yeah, Amy and them know. And I will say this publicly, he's been in full support of Brian Callahan. He's also called this a top 5 wide receiver room, top 10 offense, and Calvin Ridley's the best wide receiver in the league. So he's a little bit prone to hyperbole. But we'll see.
Yeah, I will say this. Like, I don't know how much of this, I'd be curious to go back through the press conferences because it does feel like he brings this up unprompted. It's like people aren't necessarily asking him questions, and he tends to go back to, he works a little nugget in about Brian Callahan and how they work together. And publicly he said, he wants this guy calling plays for him for a long time.
Yeah. I think there's a kinship there that we don't know as fans, that there's a trust in the between them. I think my critical side on this is the instincts of play calling. I think there is flashes of his brilliance from Callahan. I think there's been times where you're like, man, where's this been, right? And then there's other times and people are like pulling their hair out, like, and that seems, again, we go back to like the off-script plays, talking about what Cam Ward is. And with Levis, we tend to remember because it didn't work out for Levis as often, that when it did, we're like, well, it's one-off because we remember the bad. And I think that's where Callahan is because the bad has outweighed the good in the volume, that we tend to not even think about when he has had brilliance, when he has had some great play calls. But, and again, to Cedric's point, is he hasn't called plays up until now. He's had the title, but he's had the design. He's worked with some phenomenal quarterbacks.
I think he has 3 play callers available to him if he were to give up play calling duty. Mike McCoy, who's a senior offensive assistant there or senior offensive advisor, Bill Callahan, and he has, don't forget, quarterback coach Bo Hardigree, also called plays with Aiden O'Connell and went 5-5 with Aiden O'Connell as his play caller, and they were a really good offense when he took over. And then you also have Nick Holtz kind of floating in the ether out there. So I don't know. Like, there are options for him to take that off his plate. And sometimes the best head coaches recognize their own shortcomings and do that now rather than later when it becomes forced to do it. Do it while it's not forced. Your hand's not forced.
Yeah. It kind of feels like that's the next step if we're going to go down this path. And it's whether or not, like, if there's pressure from above, then maybe we see that happen, and that's an indicator that maybe things aren't quite as they seem, and this message of patience that they've preached for so long does have a point where it wears out a little bit.
Right.
And so I think that would be, I don't know that it's just going to be a clean, you're fired, you're out of here. I think it'll be, give up the play calling and let's see what happens.
To your guys' points and to the caller, I forgot his name, but that just called in.
Cedric.
Another one after him. Mike. I think was his name. Mike. He was wondering what Cam Ward thought of Callahan. I thought this was a pretty telling quote in today's press conference. It was, I think there was a kind of a poking around the idea that maybe Cam Ward, by the media to Callahan and Cam Ward, that Callahan is handcuffing Cam Ward in some way.
Yeah.
And he says, I've been given a lot of authority, and me and Brian Callahan talk. We are growing together. And I think that kind of tells you where Cam Ward's mindset is, because it's kind of about reading between the lines, right? Mm-hmm. He's saying that we're growing together. So he's expecting growth. And we kind of saw growth from week 1 to week 2. Yeah. Didn't result in a win. And that's what Cam Ward said. All this growth may be for nothing because we're not winning games. And ultimately, that's what I want to do. Said all the right things. By the end of the day, they are, by at least the quarterback's admission, and he's not tied up to a polygraph, so we don't know if he's just a really good sociopathic liar of some sort. But like, he is saying that we are growing together. The whole franchise has pretty much echoed, we're going to try and stay competitive. That's our main goal. They laughed at the idea if they were asked if this was a Super Bowl roster. They told you this was a 3 to 4 year rebuild. They're going to lean on their young players. Like, they've been telling you what the season's going to be. We've been telling you what the season's going to be. 0-2 was the start that we all thought it was going to be. And now, has it looked rougher than what we thought it would? Yeah. The offensive line has not looked good. And there's a big, long discussion about Bill Callahan in that situation. Mm-hmm. But the offensive line has not looked good. Penalties have not stopped. There are things that made this look worse. Yeah. But the end result, if you are just strictly wins and losses, you're 0-2, just like every conference.
Let me ask y'all a question and put in context of what you do professionally. Like, if you thought, man, my production is not winning games, or whatever anybody listening to context of what you do, and you're given the opportunity to say you can either let somebody else do some of this job and sit back, or for me, it was like, I'd rather control my own destiny. If I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down fighting my way. There's something to say about that, and I think that's where he's at. Like, why would I give up my opportunity to be a play caller in duty, and if it doesn't work, I'm fired anyway, and I've given somebody else control of my destiny.
That's a good question. That is a good question. Man, I've actually been in that situation before where things start heading south.
When you were coaching this, what?
When I was coaching the Toronto Argonauts, actually. No. As the head of a digital media company, things start going south, algorithms change, your content doesn't get out to as many people. And it was that exact same thought. It was like, do I try to go outside and get some help on this, or do I just stick to my beliefs? And I said, you know what? I like the content that I make. I like the way I write. I like the way I podcast. I'm going to stay true to the people that have come to me for my brand of writing. And if it all goes up in flames, it all goes up in flames. I mean, thankfully, I was able to step off of that ship, and now I'm sitting here talking about Titans game.
Control somebody else. Now you devalued yourself.
Exactly, and that's the exact headspace I was in, where it was like, if this thing's going down, I'm going to stay true to myself, and it's going to go down. I'm going to be the one that sees the plane into the ocean.
Well, something that we talked about last week. This team and Brian Callahan has kind of created the most lose-lose situations you can, because he loses either way, right?
Either way.
If he hands off the play calling and it doesn't improve, let's say he gives it to Nick Colts, who's the offensive coordinator, right? If you don't give it to your offensive coordinator, then you are putting Nick Colts in a weird kind of position of title that is ultimately meaningless.
Yeah.
And then Nick Colts, who has never called plays before except for at UNLV, it stinks at the NFL level, then you are eventually taking it back,
you
right?
really just gave him your job at that point.
Yeah. So it's just like it's a tough situation, and that's why I think you have to go over Nick Holtz to someone else if you're going to do it. But that creates such a weird dynamic in the workplace.
Yep, it does.
Right?
Man.
Like, because then you're demoting Nick Holtz. and you're promoting someone else to offensive coordinator in the middle of a season, or you're using Nick Colts as your scapegoat.
Yep.
So if the expectations are truly what we believe them to be, you just hold steady, I think.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I don't think I would, because I would be trying, me personally, I'd be trying I guess I would realize I can't do this.
Yeah.
Now, maybe that says something about me, not believing in yourself or anything, but I also think that, it's kind of like, listen, I've watched a lot of people change oil in all kinds of semis, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that happen.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go on the side of the road and change someone's semi truck with an oil. You've changed their oil.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't do that.
Right.
That's not within my wheelhouse. And I think there is something with Brian Callahan, because a lot of it has been made about the quarterbacks he's worked with and the offensive minds that he's been under. You can be around and have all that experience, but not be able to do the job yourself. And I think that's why, you hire a mechanic, right? Maybe he needs to hire a mechanic in this situation.
Yeah. But do you, and to that point, 2 weeks in, and you said it, you can't do it now. And as if there's somebody on the
time's
staff,
running out, it feels like.
Yeah, and there's somebody's not on your staff that you feel comfortable handing it to, then why are they on your staff?
Yeah.
And especially you got the guy with the title of OC, and then you got somebody like Mike McCoy who has some success as a play caller in the National League. Yeah, it's been a while. But then his dad's also been a play caller.
Yeah.
So he's, again, to your point, he's in a lose-lose situation.
It's a lose-lose situation.
He can't win for losing. Like, if I give this up, I'm admitting that I'm struggling, and the ship is sinking. But sometimes he's gonna be voluntold, like, either get a play caller, it's gonna be dead man walking at that point, or he continues to progress and get better with the experience he has. He's been calling plays 19 games plus 6 preseason games. So,
and I almost think that he should have had someone call some off. How Vrabel in the preseason gave some stuff to other responsibilities to other coaches. He probably should have done that. But I know that he selfishly wanted to take his toy out for a ride, right? Like, he wanted to play with his new toy.
You can't blame him for that, right? Yeah,
but that's why you also have call some Brendan Allen plays, call some, other plays. And apparently I think Holtz did for a series or two, or maybe some, but we just didn't know it. But that's been the rumor floating around, but I haven't got any confirmation of that. When we come back, we're going to go to Will.
Get to.
Yeah, because Will, we got all these calls we got to get to. And we got a list of 5 to 6 things that apparently Brian Callahan allegedly does right, according to Stoney Keeley. This is Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 105 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. Let's go straight to the phones, or do you want to get to your
list? Did we get Funky Cheese Man back?
Funky Cheese Man has not called back in.
We need to know the whereabouts of Funky Cheese Man.
I really want to know why he was called Funky Cheese Man.
He had to go to dinner or something.
Maybe he was the guy from last week, Willie Ray, or what was his name? Willie Joe, who called in and he was making hamburgers.
Did we ever check on the status of Waynesboro after that call?
We never did. We never did. Okay, so do you want to give your list of 5 to 6 things?
I can do it real quick if you'd like.
Okay, let's listen to it. Do we have a drum roll?
Well, the only thing is Adam in Portland said he does nothing well, and I do think there are things that Brian Callahan does well. A lot of elements of play design with this offense. I think it has explosive potential. And to me, it's a lot about the horses. I think if protection's better, we've already seen the floor raised with the quarterback position. I think it can lead to more explosive plays. Okay. He uses motion to test eye discipline of opposing linebackers in the run game. I think this is a detailed run game that when blocks are executed, it works pretty effectively. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors. There's a lot of show you this, but actually do that. There's some misdirection in there. We saw that on a couple of plays with Calvin Ridley today, where you get the whole unit moving right, but he's crossing back left. That's a good design. That's a good call in that moment. I like the route concepts in this offense. I think he does well to attack multiple levels of the defense and have an outlet for his quarterback whenever things don't develop downfield, because the quarterback's scrambling for his life because the protection's not holding up. I think he does well to cause conflict over the middle of the field. There are some route concepts that are run out of this offense where, you might have a safety or a linebacker in the middle of the field that has to choose. Do I go high? Do I go low? Do I protect over the top or underneath? And I think that's a 2-on-1 matchup that is by design schemed to get somebody open. You talk about the deep developing routes. He sends guys deep to isolate matchups in the deep thirds against like cover 3. You get 3 guys down the field, you isolate those zones, you create one-on-one matchups, and guys get open. And so you just have to have the offensive line hold up and a quarterback that can make the decision to deliver the ball. I think it's a good thing. We've seen the extent of the Denard Wilson's vision for this defense in week 1. Give Brian Callahan credit for giving him a lot of autonomy. I mean, for all the people that want Denard Wilson as head coach of this team, you're seeing what you're seeing because Brian Callahan is so hands-off with the defense and lets him do his thing. So those are just a few things. I'm not saying, again, this is a performance-based industry. If the Titans don't win games, it's ultimately up to the owner whether he stays or goes. I'm not saying he should get off scot-free, but to act like he doesn't do anything well, I think is a bit egregious in my opinion, because I do think if he had better players, you'd see an entirely different this offense would be cooking.
You agree?
That's good. That's good.
Do you want to hear some of the people from the chat, what they had to say about your list?
I think that a lot of people listen. I can be the funny guy sometimes. I think people misread. They didn't know that I was seriously going to come with actual analysis, and they thought he ties his shoes well.
Is there anything you would add though?
Yeah, to me, I think people lose sight of the fact that he does have that ability to get something out of quarterbacks. And I think we're yet to see it because Levis struggled so mightily last year. And to even his crutch, he went from one offense to another for him. And it was a guy who had some issues with that even in college. So I think to Stoney's list, and I think the fans are like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And we're yet to really see the full scope of what he can do. I think his inability has been instinctual, and some of it even been like rules and things of that nature, right? And there's a couple of times we talked about, for instance, last year with the catch and all that kind of stuff. But the other part of it is like you're on the 1 yard line and you throw 3 times, and most traditional people would say at least one of those is going to be a run or something. But then I'm going to be devil's advocate for him. Your offensive line has struggled mightily to move the pile. Do I trust them with limited time that I'm going to score? You see what I'm saying? So there's always 2 sides of the coin to this. And I said it last week. You don't get to this position where he's in being dumb, and he's an intelligent guy. I think there's some things instinctually that he's going to have to work on and get better at. And at times we see it. We see glimpses. I think Tony talked about it. Some of his route concepts, the highs and lows, the mid-range game, and the outlets and things of that nature. I think there are some things in there where he has some natural instincts in him about. But sometimes I feel like it's overlooked or it's misused in a way where it hasn't been effective.
Yeah, I think my two main criticisms, something that Dr. Dyson's hitting on there, is like the feel, the rhythm of the play calling. I feel like there are times when they're building momentum, doing one thing, running the ball, and then he might call a play that seems to pull them out of rhythm, and then suddenly like the drive kind of spirals a little bit. So I do think I would echo that, the instinctual feel thing. And also you wonder like how much is on his plate on the sideline. If you go back to the Iamaner catch, no catch, elbow down, one cheek equals 2 feet conversation we were having last week. It's like, okay, if he's trying to get the next play call in, like how involved in the conversation is he with his people saying, should we review this? Like your brain can't be in two places at the same time. I don't believe there's such a thing as multitasking. It's just doing
now,
two things.
I will say
at
this, there's
attention.
not supposed to be a lot of talking in those headsets, according to Coach Mack.
Is that right?
That's what he said.
Well, who am I to question Coach Mack?
I would have thought the same thing as you. There's going to be a lot of voices, and he's like, there is no noise to cut through. It should only be one person talking at a time.
Okay, so
allegedly, and I don't know if that's how.
But
I shouldn't say allegedly. When Coach Mack was coaching, don't know if that's the case in this kind of environment right now, where it feels like maybe discipline is a little lacking.
It's not necessarily like all the voices in his head that I was mentioning, but it's like, even if you have that voice in your head where you're trying to have that conversation of like, do we challenge this or not? But you're still over here with Cam Ward trying to get the next play call ready.
Right.
It's a divided attention thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that you guys you both hit on, I agree, is that I'll add one more negative, is that I don't think he knows how to coach around his offensive line's deficiencies.
Oh, that's that's fair game.
Because I see a lot of people in here. Well, if you give them all pros at left tackle, right tackle, they would have won these last two games. Most teams would. And I get what he's trying to say. He's trying to put a lot of the blame on the offensive line, but also good play callers, good head coaches scheme around that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we even saw, listen, Vrabel couldn't do it enough, but we did see Vrabel teams with bad offensive lines win games.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen a Brian Callahan team really win convincing games with a bad offensive line, really, except for the Texans game last year. So I think he has it. Like, how many times did we see just minor chip help from a running back or tight end on Byron Young, and then John Ojukwu, who's got to handle the rest? Now, that's on John Ojukwu to win one-on-one matchups, but he's also a second-year undrafted free agent right tackle.
Yeah, he's a backup.
And he's got skinny legs. Yeah. So we got to remember where we're at here with this whole situation is that, like, I think he's a coach that does not understand players over plays.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's like, these are my plays. These are what we're calling. You better step up and better execute. And I get that mentality that the players do have to execute, but that's also not what you got.
At some point, a player has to be a player too.
Yeah.
And that's, again, I'm not giving him a crutch, but at some point, and that's what he's thinking, you getting paid. I don't care if you are the backup. You got a job to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, that's not giving him a crutch, but at some point,
at some point, you got to realize, okay, I can't do my long developing routes down the field. I need to do some mesh, some crossers and stuff. And listen, to his credit, he tried some screen plays, but I will say this. They're not a screen team.
And then guess what happens? People start saying, we don't throw the ball deep enough.
Yeah.
We don't, all the things happen.
And that's all winning and losing. Yeah, if you're winning games, there's
nobody's having that.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like they were better on screens today than they've been before.
That's an outlier. We're not trusting the data on that one.
We need consistency on
that. All right. When we come back, I swear, we're going to Will right off the top. We're not having any more discussions. We're going straight to the phones. We're going to Will, then Mike, then Robert, then Andre, then whoever's calling in right now. This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 105 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons
Who?
here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by Titans Talkback.
Yeah, Titans Talkback.
Sorry, he's about to go after CBS Sports because they were wrong on that stat I read earlier.
We got a stat correction in?
Stat correction. So Cam Ward has been sacked 11 times through his first 2 games. They said that was the highest in the last 75 years. That is incorrect. CJ Stroud, 2023, was sacked 11 times. Spencer Rattler last year through his first 2 games, sacked 11 times. Steve Young back in 85, his first 2 starts 11 times. Greg McElroy, if you want to throw him in there. His first 2 starts for the Jets 11 times. You go higher, Archie Manning was sacked 13 times his first 2 starts. David Klingler... sorry, I can't tell if it's Kingler or Klingler. 14 sacks through his first 2 starts. David Norris, 15 sacks through his first 2 starts. And David Carr, 15 sacks through his first 2 starts. So CBS Sports, get a life.
Yeah.
That's correct.
By the way, this does not make it any better. That does not make anything any better.
No,
All
it doesn't.
right, let's go to Mike first. Mike, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Thank you, guys. Got a question. Is the current Nissan Stadium the worst stadium in the NFL? Because they're building a new one, and I can't figure out why.
Well, it's not the worst stadium, but thanks for your call, Mike. But it is falling apart. The worst stadium would definitely be Ralph Wilson Stadium, at least that I've been to. So
I haven't been to a lot of NFL stadiums. So,
What about you? What's the worst stadium you've ever played in?
Worse as far as like,
I guess structurally, but I mean,
by far veterans. Philadelphia. Oh my gosh. It was one of those games where you just like, I just want to get home healthy.
Yeah.
I don't even care win or lose. Like you almost don't care. I did not want to catch the ball and get hit. I did not want to get tackled. It was softer. It's softer on this floor than playing on that turf.
Dang. This is pretty hard floor.
And I'll tell you, and I saw one of my friends, I played college ball with him. He was here as a free agent running back. I saw him on there blocking, and I got pulled right after this too because I was one of the few starters still in. I saw him get his elbow dislocated, and that was enough. That was good. That was it. I was like,
am I less of a man to say that I'm too scared to go to a Philadelphia Eagles game if the Titans were playing?
A little bit. No.
I mean, it's some weird stuff that goes on. I mean, they push kids into bushes that they pee in.
Yeah.
They push kids wearing Dallas Cowboy starters jacket into those bushes.
I mean, listen.
Children. There was some ruthless fans too. Them in Oakland. So, as far as places to play as a visitor, I love going there. The hostility and being able to quiet them, that was always fun there in Oakland. Now LA or Vegas, I mean. Those are always 2 of my favorite places to go.
There you go. Let's go to Will. Will, you're on with Titans Talkback.
Yeah, first, no, maybe we put Callie in one of those starter jackets and send him to Philly.
There we go.
But still, let's push him into some bee bushes.
I'm calling to see, you guys are talking about instincts. And when I'm watching the game today after we get the interception right before the half, after the week 1 debacle where you're inside the 10 with a minute left and he wants to be aggressive, was it just me, or did the 3 of you guys sit there going, oh, he's going to be soft here, and they're going to just go for 3 points? Like, we talked about flow of the game with him, and I feel like he had it made up in his mind right after that they were going for 3 and not 7. And to me, it's like, I don't know if it's an insecurity. That sounds like a weird way to phrase it, but just like he doesn't feel like he has a brand of football or an identity, and he knows how to attack these clock management or game flow situations. So just curious, when you guys were watching, what your thoughts were. And then shout out Stoney. You did say that we get some pressure with our DBs this week. So I think we put Amani Hooker on the edge because I think he'd surpass Draymond Jones in sacks this year.
Love it, Will.
Yeah.
I do think that's a valid concern, is that we're now, 19 games in, and we still don't know what the identity of this team really is.
He said, does he have a brand of football? And that's a poignant question.
Yeah.
My tongue got stuck to the roof of my mouth.
Do you have an idea of what you think this identity's trying to be?
And again, I'm trying to give benefit of that. I'm trying to be the positive spin on it. And this is my positive spin on it. he hasn't had consistent offensive line play to even build an identity.
Fair enough. Yeah. I'm just happy somebody remembered my good takes.
Yeah. Not your Van Jefferson wide receiver one
That was
takes.
never my take. You're spreading misinformation on here.
What he had something else that
Well, he asked about, did we get the sense that he was going for 3? And
we said it right in the studio.
We were watching the game when that drive was starting, saying, "Oh, he just wants to take the field goal here." And because I think J.J. Watt was pretty critical of him on the broadcast as well, saying you got 2 opportunities to take a shot here. My best guess, and again, this is just reckless speculation, is that you go into the half with a lead. You've got a 3-point lead. Maybe the vibes are different. Maybe the team is saying this is a game we can go win.
Conversely, last week, exact opposite.
Yeah. And it's just a case of, like, let's not put the ball in harm's way. We've got the field goal. Let's run this clock out, which is something else he was criticized for not doing last week. It felt to me like an adjustment to say, hey, let's just get these 3 points. We'll go in 13-10. We'll have the lead. We're in this ball game. We've got them on their heels right now. We can come out in the second half and really just build off of this.
Yeah. It's almost to the point now he can't win for losing. Like, and because last week he's criticized for his out of control play calling and not being, I wouldn't say conservative, but more traditional. And then today the criticism is he was too conservative and not aggressive enough. And now it's like, what do y'all want? You know what I mean? And I get it. I think it's a balance between the two. I thought he should have at least taken one shot. And that was when he kind of did that last little run. I was like, take a shot, Cam.
You had a timeout,
and he got a timeout. And Cam is smart. You see what I'm saying? There's enough time for at least one opportunity to know. And you tell Cam, like, listen, hey, we need a couple seconds to get this field goal off. If it's not there, let it go, throw it away, whatever. I think he would have done that. I think he had that. So
I think it showed a lack of trust in not being able to get a penalty in the offensive line.
That's a good point too.
I think that's really what it comes down to is that, okay, we can get the field goal, take the points, go into halftime with the lead, keep it close, coming out of halftime, but going into it, I don't necessarily agree with it. I think I would at least have taken one more shot, but we've seen Cam Ward kind of drop a little bit back and drift a little bit, and we saw him last week take the team in back-to-back plays out of field goal range. And I think that logically I get it. May not have been what I've done, but also I'd never go for it on 4th down in Madden. So what do I know? So let's go to
who doesn't go for 4th down in Madden?
Never. I always go for it. I never punt. Sorry.
I was going to say,
never punt. Let's go to Robert, who wants to talk Titans. You're on Titans Talkback.
Hey guys, how you doing?
All right,
doing good, Robert. Thank you.
All right, man. I'm sitting here with tears in my eyes, and it's not about the Titans, even though it should be. Man, I was sitting here laughing my butt off, man, about 40 minutes ago, and I found out that one of y'all guys, and I'm not talking about Kevin Dyson, one of y'all guys is related to Cam Ward.
Allegedly, I am. Man, he wears glasses just like me, right?
Man, that guy was hilarious, man. I actually got in the floor laughing at that. But what I wanted to say was, I got a comment and then I got a question. The comment is, I want to just say props to Cam Ward. When I look at him play, man, it's just, even though, we're not doing good right now, I just see promise of us having our franchise quarterback. I know a lot of people get on him about the sacks and stuff, but if you're not getting any help, the line's not holding up, people can't get open. As a rookie, what do you do? But anyway, my question is, I don't watch every game in the NFL, of course, but I watch the Titans. Been a Titans fan for a long time. But what I can't understand is you have different coaches, you have different personnel, but it looks like to me, almost every game that the Titans lose, self-inflicted, shooting yourself in the foot. What is it, man? Do every team do that because I don't watch them, or it just seems like penalties, just stuff that just help you lose a game. For example, season opener games. As far as I can remember back, I know it was the Saints, Giants, maybe another one between last season, Chicago Bears. All those games should have been, winnable games. So is it coaching, bad players? What is it? I mean, do you guys have an answer for that? And once again, thanks.
Robert, I think it's a little bit of everything. I mean, because as much as everybody praises Mike Vrabel, disciplinarian, and all this kind of stuff, his team ranked high in penalties as well for a couple of the seasons towards the end. They were undisciplined. Now, a lot of people would go and blame the players, right? Because, I mean, NPF probably led both Brian Callahan and Mike Vrabel in penalties in different years. But at the same time, it's probably players, probably a little bit of coaching. I don't know, because, I mean, penalties are all different, right? Like, different blame. Some of it could be because you're outmatched by the guy lined up across from you. Some of it's just because you're undisciplined.
And so it's subjective, too. Referees seeing what he thinks he saw or, how they interpret the rule.
A penalty is not actually a penalty, essentially. It's like you get called for something.
The way the Titans lose kind of feels like it's the same every time.
Well, you know what I'm going to say.
It's the witch in the woods.
The witch in the woods. Curse this franchise somehow. I don't know. It does feel like there's a little bit of like bad luck here because it has crossed regimes, crossed staffs where, we were having some of these problems under Mike Vrabel and now it's still going on. I don't know. Is there something in the evaluation process when you're looking at players that could identify potential issues? I don't know. I mean, I legitimately, depending on who you ask, it is a context thing.
Yeah. He said something too, like other teams doing this. Yes, other teams have some same issues, but the really good teams have fewer than the teams that are not so good. And I don't know. I forgot. I think there was one team. I can't remember who it was years ago where they were in the top 5 of teams in total penalty and penalty yards, and they still made the playoffs, made the Super Bowl.
That was probably the Ravens. The Ravens are constantly in that top 10.
Yeah.
Now, they run a lot more plays, but still you still have a lot of penalties.
But most of the time, the teams that are having success or have a great turnover ratio, and they're not penalized a lot. That's usually one of the two things that are common in teams that are really good.
And they have the talent to overcome that stuff. The Titans are not there yet. They do not have a Baltimore Ravens roster where they can overcome penalties. They don't have the Eagles roster. Like, they can overcome that. Let's go to Andre and close out the calling portion of the show. Andre, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, what's up,
Titans
guys?
Talkback.
I appreciate you all having me. Guys, love you, dog.
Appreciate you, brother.
A couple of things, I guess. When it comes to Callahan, I know we're kind of piling on him. I'm actually a Callahan believer. But today really kind of just, it's like, man, why are we not being aggressive after getting turnovers? Our defense used to not, last year we didn't get any turnovers at all, really. But this year we got 5 in each possession after. It's very conservative. And it's just wrecking my mind. Like, why are we not being aggressive? Why are we not being greedy at the end of the halftime, end of the half, and trying to pile on more points? We're facing a veteran team, a team that's won the Super Bowl a few years ago, a very good quarterback in Stafford, and a head coach. Let's get up 17 if that's possible. I mean, not 17, but 7. It's better than 3. So it's just wrecking my mind. On that part with Callahan is being very timid. I don't know if he's afraid to, lose his job or coaching not to lose, which is unfortunate because, I would like him to stay so he can, him and Cam can, grow into this role together. But so that's that on Callahan. But also the defense in the second half, like they come out, balls are fired, but in the second half they're I don't know if they're tired or what it is, but it goes downhill. So I guess that, too, if y'all want to talk about that, I'm very disappointed in our defense in the second half of these games.
Hey, I agree, Andre.
If he goes towards end zone, this is that devil advocate side, and the ball is tipped and it's for a pick and you get no points out of it. Then you know what the people are calling it? Look at that play call. You should play for the field goal. Go in at halftime with the lead. You know what I'm saying? But I get what everybody's saying because we want so much more. We all want them to win. We want progression. We want productivity. I get all those things, but coach really can't win for losing. If he gets aggressive and it turns out bad, he's going to be criticized because he was too aggressive and got no points out of the half. Now he gets the points, goes in at halftime with the lead versus in a game he's not supposed to win, and people are saying we need to be more aggressive, we need more points. So I get what everybody's saying, and I'm totally with you. I totally understand. But he also has to have, again, it goes to instincts and feel for his team and where they're at and where he feels like he needs to address it. And today, and maybe he was influenced by last week's criticism, he chose a more conservative approach and went in, and he had a halftime lead. So, I mean, now second half didn't work out so well, especially the fourth quarter, but he did have a halftime lead.
And it's not like they were even doing run, pass.
No.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, they're not even really doing that as a high rate as what we've seen. They've actually lessened that. I mean, the first play of the game, first down, was a pass. I mean, they're passing more often on first down than they have in prior years.
Yeah.
Which is kind of wild.
And to address Andre's question about the defense, today they allowed 33 points, 439 total yards, 7.4 yards per play, and 6.0 yards per carry against the run.
And I don't know what the pressures and all that kind of stuff look like, but we know they got one sack, and that ain't going to cut it. Yeah, and it's your safety. That ain't going to cut it. All right, when we come back, we're going to do the Eurofix look-ahead. We're going to talk about the Indianapolis Colts game coming up. Of course, this is the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Available 24/7. Put Lee Company on your team. Tackle your home's heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical problems. Schedule online at leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback on 104.5 The Zone. It's the Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. And hey, guess what? It's time for the Eurofix Look Ahead. Now we look ahead to next week's opponent in the Look Ahead presented by Eurofix. Let me remind you that Eurofix repairs everything European that you drive and below dealer pricing. ASE certified technicians, a local company that's serviced Middle Tennessee for over 2 decades. Visit EurofixOnline.com. Next week, Titans are at home versus the 2-0 Indianapolis Colts, who have scored on 14 of their 17 offensive possessions. They scored on every possession last week versus Miami. 7 straight possessions of scoring, whether that's field goals or touchdowns. And today they had just 3 of their 10 end up not being scoring possessions. One of those happened to be just they fielded a punt with 18 seconds left in the game and just decided to kneel it to go out in halftime. Other than that, they've scored on 14 of their 16 real possessions.
Yeah, this offense is looking good right now.
I'll start with you, Kevin Dyson. Rivalry game, crazy things happen, right? Is that the positivity you're looking at?
The positivity is you get another opportunity to prove yourself. I think I was assuming this was kind of a year for the Colts to kind of try to figure something out, whether it be Jones or Richardson. And we're seeing Daniel Jones having a Sam Darnold type impact with the Colts in his first 2 games there. And I'm hoping he slacks off here a little bit. I think Titans being at home helps a little bit with the stress of level. But looking at them, they're able to run the football, and Daniel Jones is throwing the football efficiently right now. Their defense is giving up some points in both games. I don't know what that looks like as far as I didn't look at it statistically, and I just look at total points. But how does that translate for the Titans and Cam Ward be able to do something? But they're going to have to put up some points, it looks like, or else they could get ugly. They're going to have to put up some points and be competitive and maybe make the Colts make a mistake and have a chance to win this game. But they can't. I don't know if 16-13 is enough.
Whoa, man, it sure doesn't seem like it. I mean, they've scored over 20 points the last 2 weeks. I mean, and I think they held Miami pretty much in check the whole time.
Yeah.
And Miami has Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Mike McDaniel, a pretty good play caller. And I mean, we saw that the Miami Dolphins kind of rebounded today, so maybe week 1 was a little bit of a liar for them, even though they are 0-2 as well. But what we have seen through 2 weeks from this offense pretty much feels like the truth right now.
Yeah.
And it feels like Daniel Jones is going to be a bit of a reclamation project there for Shane Steichen, similar to how we've seen with a guy like Baker Mayfield. That path. He's playing pretty efficient football right now. Jonathan Taylor rushed for 165 yards against this Broncos defense today. And then you got a guy like Tyler Warren, who I don't know who on this Titans defense is going to cover him the way they move him around. 79 yards on 4 catches, 19.8 per reception average. He had 7 targets. He had a rushing attempt. They move him around. This is going to be a difficult matchup for the Titans defense.
It's all about a play caller who saw what worked in Philadelphia, right? That's where Shane Steichen came from. And it took a little while for him to find a quarterback that can execute it at Jalen Hurts type level. And to be honest, if you were comparing the 2 Eagles games this year and the 2 Colts games this year, you would say that Daniel Jones looks like the better quarterback. But this is a guy that they have continually kind of hit offensively in the draft. You're talking about, Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, Jonathan Taylor. The offensive line obviously has been built through the draft mainly. And then now you've added Tyler Warren, and now you try to do the stuff that you could do with Jalen Hurts with maybe a little bit more of a deep pass with Anthony Richardson. He just couldn't do it.
Yep.
And sometimes that happens, right? It's just not a good fit. And they paid Daniel Jones, like $14 to $15 million to come into this game. And again, it kind of goes back to how I felt about these last 2 games, except for I thought the Colts was a winnable game.
Yeah.
And now I've watched these last 2 weeks, and I'm like, okay, you've gotten beat up by 2 of the better defenses in the NFL. And the Colts defenses played all right. They have some key players on injury reserve that aren't going to be at your game. And they allowed the Denver Broncos, who you held in check, to score 20-something points. So this seems like a game that if you don't at least generate at least 20-plus points, A, you're not going to win. B, who are you going to score 20-plus points on? And we're talking about a team that has struggled since under Vrabel the last 2 years to reach high numbers in scoring. This is your best chance. This is a good chance for a get-right game, but you're going to have to cut down on penalties. And can the Tennessee Titans do that?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question.
Nobody wants to say yes.
I looked at this matchup, this 4-game start to the season back in the summertime, and you think like, oh, they got Houston in week 4 plus the 2 defenses they've already played. Mm-hmm. This is their best shot at a win. But now seeing the way this team is playing, it's a tall task. And if we think the temperature is hot right now on the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, just wait until they manage to lose this game and drop to 0-3. And I think it's a very important game.
The room for error is it's much smaller now than it was 2 weeks ago with the Colts.
Yeah,
I thought with the quarterback and their indecision on who's starting and you know the history of Daniel Jones in the league and his struggles throughout, and Titans had success against him even. That right there, I thought, okay, this is an opportunity. It's a division game. Nobody in the division scared you. Even Trevor Lawrence doesn't scare you, right?
Yeah.
Stroud, if he gets hot, maybe. But you thought, okay, quarterback plays is vital. That the Colts seem to be in more of disarray than the Titans because of Cam. We knew Cam was a guy. But now with the way they're playing efficiently, the room for error is so much smaller that you can't come in and think that if you make some of the same mistakes, you're going to be able to overcome because this Colts team looks to be like the real deal. So you're going to have to play a pretty efficient and mistake-free type game to even have a chance to beat a team that is scoring at a 90% clip.
And we haven't seen them be that team.
Yeah.
We maybe have seen it during the Texans win, but that feels like forever ago.
Yeah.
And you can't just keep hanging your laurels on that win. You got to prove it now in 2025. And we have yet to see them do that. And at this point, I think it's hard to have faith. And to be honest, I know that we have talked about that we wouldn't necessarily fire Brian Callahan midseason, but we have to at least allow for the fact that Amy Adams Strunk operates on a whole different level than what we do.
She's writing the checks.
Yeah, and she writes the checks. And if she's willing to maybe pay him because John Robinson's coming off the books after this year, Mike Vrabel got a job at the Patriots, he's coming off the books. These are starting to feel more and more like must-win games, and you need to stack maybe at least 2 of them to get maybe some heat off your back because you never know. If the Colts come in and dominate you like you got dominated today by the Rams, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we may never know. But I know this. Mike Vrabel coming to town just around the corner. You got to start putting up some points.
Spicy.
And you got to start looking like a totally different team than what you look like these first 2 weeks. All right, that will do it for us as the Lee Company Titans Talkback. We've greatly appreciated you guys joining us all the way from Andre to Cedric to Adam in Portland. We appreciate all the phone calls that we get, all the interactions tonight. Obviously, Titans radio coverage is produced by Joseph Bonanno. Studio producer Justin Hawkins, studio host Lucas Panzica, promotions director Rich Ferris, director of sales Hunter Rice, general manager Allison Warren, operations manager Paul Mason, and executive producer Rhett Bryan. This has been the Lee Company Titans Talkback right here on 104.5 The Zone.